and welcome to Living Well, your show for healthy information and inspiration. I'm your host, Karen Fabian, and thank you so much for watching. I'd like to introduce you on this show to two founders of nonprofits, and this is actually going to be called My Women Who Rock Show. And these two women are doing some amazing things out in the world, and I'm going to bring them both on to share with you their passion and the mission of their organizations. If you're watching the show on the Boston Neighborhood Network, thank you so much for watching. After every show, I post it on my YouTube channel, Bare Bones Yoga, so you can watch this episode again and see some prior episodes as well. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors. The show's major sponsor is Yoga Reaches Out, and this is a nonprofit that is using yoga events around the country to raise money for children's charities. And I'd also like to thank my friends at the Independent Coffee House in Charlestown, Zumi's Coffee, 221 Main Street in Charlestown. And they have some delicious food. They make a lot of stuff in-house. It's a great independent coffee shop there in Charlestown. So let's get started with today's show. I'd like to introduce you to Sue Jones. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Sue is the founder of a nonprofit called Yoga Hope. And Yoga Hope was started in 2006 to provide yoga programming to women internationally. As part of the nonprofit, she developed a program called TIMBO, which is Trauma-Informed Mind-Body Program. And this program is a science-based training for teachers and practitioners, trauma therapists, social workers, and others in various areas of healthcare to teach them how to use mind-body techniques to heal from trauma. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program itself. And I know it's a research-based program, which I think makes it unique in that there's science behind it. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, the program is, first of all the things that you said are true. It is, we do provide a training for all of those people, but I would also like to point out that it's also a peer-to-peer program, so we can train the actual trauma survivors or community members to deliver the program to their peers, which is really kind of a, something that sets it apart. But it's a 16 session defined curriculum. We are starting to deliver in 8 sessions, a little bit shorter version, which is going really well. It just focuses on helping individuals notice where they might feel emotions as sensation in their body, and that's known as interoceptive awareness, and give them tools to create a little space between those sensations and what their habitual action or reaction might be.
Okay, which could be something not in the healthy realm of things type of thing. Okay.
Yeah, it could be anything from an addiction behavior to just outblown anger or even internal, just withdrawing an internal anger, I guess.
Okay. And with these techniques, when people employ them, what kinds of results have you seen with people going through the program?
Oh man, I mean, you'd be surprised. It's something so simple really is changing the way people relate first to themselves, and then it has a very powerful effect on their relationships in their lives. So everything from noticing that they're more regulated as a parent and finding that they have just better skills as parents, to in Haiti, for instance, the rates of domestic violence dropped because the women that were going through our program were relating differently with the husbands. It was having an effect on the rates of violence in the home. So it's incredible. The results are incredible. Also in this country, seen many women really say that this program is the only thing that really, I don't want to say the only thing that helped them in their recovery, but it was kind of one of the missing pieces that they felt in their drug and alcohol recovery, and really got them through those crucial moments when they might have felt like they were going to use again.
Okay. You know, we had a conversation before you came on the show, and we didn't necessarily talk about this, but since you did just mention Haiti, can you just talk a little bit about that program? Because I remember when you went. Can you just share a little bit about what that was?
So we partnered with an incredible organization called Amert Haiti, and Amert Haiti focuses on educating and empowering community members to be leaders in their community. So they everything from training them to be educators to training them to run women's groups, self-help women groups. And so we went down and we trained a number of their women's group leaders. Some of them were teachers in the primary schools, but a lot of them were the women who lead the women's groups. We conducted a training down there, and now of those individuals that we trained, there's about 1,200 women in the very rural northwest of Haiti that are going through the program, and the reports are they just keep repeating it because they love it so much.
Wow.
So they just keep going through it.
That's amazing. Let me just kind of step back a little bit. What inspired you to begin this nonprofit in the first place?
Well, back in 2005, I found myself in a pretty debilitating, depressive state, and yoga was really one of the things that helped me move through that. And so I really felt it's not uncommon, I think, for people to feel a strong desire to, to help others with yoga. We see this incredible, growth in the yoga service industry. And so I started this organization from that experience, and I just started with offering yoga classes in places where women might not have access to yoga, like treatment centers and homeless organizations.
And so from that kind of beginning process, you eventually began to develop this specialty program? Okay.
Yeah.
You had mentioned when I had said before about how has it affected folks and what results. Are there any, or is there any particular story about someone that sticks out in your mind as an inspiring story that people could potentially relate to maybe in some way?
Yeah, there's really so many, but I would say one of the most inspiring stories that that I get to just see every day is a woman named Emily Peterson. Emily, we have a documentary profiling Emily. Emily has a significant trauma history, struggled with eating disorders and self-harm, suicidality during her kind of teenage and young, all through her 20s, and had really come to a place where she really felt like she didn't have much to offer. And she came through our program, she came through our trainings after the marathon bombing. After the marathon bombing, we offered a free training to yoga teachers. And there was something in that training, though it was really difficult for her to connect with her body, she knew that there was something happening. And so she continued with the trainings. She became one of our most prolific facilitators, and now she's a lead trainer. She's going to be taking over the trainings in the Boston area. She's going to be the director of trainings.
Wow.
So a huge,
that's amazing.
Big
hugely
inspiring
transition
story.
and shift for her. Wow. If people want to make a contribution to your organization, how do they do that?
We have a donate button on
Your
our website.
Okay, yogahope.org.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the best way for folks to contribute.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you so much for being on. We're going to kind of take a little break, and then we're going to bring our next guest on and have a little roundtable as well.
Thank you.
Stay tuned.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep
pedaling.
pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Hello and welcome back. We've got a special segment coming up here. We're going to follow up on our conversation around starting a nonprofit. Before I introduce our next human guest, I'd like to introduce you to a canine guest who has joined us, and this is Peaches here. And just wanted to acknowledge Peaches is Sue's dog, and she's going to sit with us for this segment. But Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Such an honor. Thank you for having me.
I'd like to just say a couple brief words. Sarah Gardner is the founder of Yoga Reaches Out. And as many of you may know, Yoga Reaches Out is the primary sponsor of this TV show. So first, thank you so much
You're
for
so
doing that.
welcome.
And I want you to just share a little bit about the organization. I share with viewers when we begin every show that your organization uses funds that you raise at yoga events around the country now to contribute to children's charities. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you began this organization.
Sure. So really it was an idea that came just over 6 years ago, and it came from just my love for yoga, from being a mom, from, I say it took me 40 years to realize that it's not about me, and I found myself saying, wait a minute, I'm here for a deep reason, and what is that? And I knew that I wanted to use yoga as my platform, and I wanted to help children in need. My son was born 10 weeks premature. He was in the NICU for 7.5 weeks. So I knew that giving back to those that really help our children in this world was what I wanted to do. So the idea just came, I want to have a yogathon at Gillette Stadium.
Wow.
Yeah, I seriously was driving down 128 when that happened. And I said, you know, I shared it with my friends and family, and we began in 2010 with our first event at Gillette Stadium's Fieldhouse, and we have our sixth now, so it's really exciting, and we have chapters throughout the country, and it's just a wonderful way for yogis, for community people, for business people to get together to realize that they do make a difference, and that if we collectively work together, that amazing things can happen. And we've raised a lot of money for different children's charities.
So where do the funds go? Give us some
Sure.
idea.
So each chapter here in New England, the primary beneficiary has been Boston Children's Hospital. We've been blessed that we are able to choose where those funds are allocated. So we've raised funds for the Heart Center, for leukemia research, for autism research, for the Heart Center, for the NICU, and this year is to develop a wellness center at Boston Children's Hospital where parents and caregivers can go and take yoga classes and Reiki classes and meditation. And then, so the chapters get to choose what is really resonating in their community and where the need is for a children's-based charity.
Nice.
And so then usually the main yoga teacher helps us to choose the secondary beneficiary as well.
Okay. Now I want to just squeeze in before we have our kind of collaboration with Sue. You recently went to Honduras. Can you just briefly tell us a little bit about that?
So I was connected through a nurse at Boston Children's Hospital, and she was telling me about the work that this organization, it's called Cape Cares, does. And I don't know, I guess I'm just the type of person that when something just hits my heart, I'm like, okay, let's go.
Wow.
Yeah, so she told me about it, and a month later I booked the flights, and my daughter Emma, who's 13, decided to come with me, and it was an amazing opportunity to really get in there and share the love and help,
great.
and I really feel like they did more for us than we did for them. It was amazing.
Okay.
It was,
Wow, that's quite a contribution. Well, I want to kind of bring Sue in. We had a chat with Sue before. She told us a little bit about how she began Yoga Hope. And you know, for anyone that's watching this show that is inspired by a personal mission or desire to make a change, what are some tips for starting a nonprofit? Do you maybe want to speak a little bit to that? Anything that might be helpful for somebody if they want to get the ball rolling?
I would say kind of do your due diligence. You know, talk to other people that have nonprofits. Ask them what are some of the things that they have to think about. You know, there are lots of things involved in running a nonprofit that go beyond the actual the mission, the passion that you have. So there are all different ways that you can do it, from finding a fiscal sponsor, which is what Yoga Hope has, to deciding to do it all yourself. And I would really, you have to think further into the future on how you're going to fund all of your operations. At least give it some thought. But then in addition to that, you can just kind of start doing something. You know, start with what you could start with.
How about for yourself when you were driving down the highway there?
Right.
Did you have any idea at that point?
No. I mean, the idea for the event honestly came first, and then I realized, oh gosh, this is going to become a nonprofit. So really putting yourself in the, in with people that know a lot more than you know. So, finding an attorney that perhaps could help you with a 501c3, finding an accountant that could help you to get the bookwork in order, that kind of thing. So really surrounding yourself with people that want to help and that are very knowledgeable in what they do. And for me, the biggest thing was letting go of fear. So without a doubt, there's going to be bumps in the road. But if you know why you're doing this and setting your intention and just basically following that the whole way, you will learn from those bumps in the road, and that's why they're there. So I say keep going, and we're all here. We all have a purpose. So what is that? And really follow it. And if it's creating a nonprofit,
Go for it.
go for it.
Go for it. Sue was telling us about a person that's gone through her training and her personal story. Is there, from an inspirational or kind of someone that's made an impact on your memory that you've reached out to or helped or something along those lines? Anything?
Well, one of the things I love about Yoga Reaches Out, of course, it's wonderful, the money that we raise, but I feel like it's given many people this possibility, this opportunity to empower them. And so I hear stories a lot from our participants of what the event has done for them. And in addition, not just to our event, but yoga. Yoga is, it changes people's lives. And there's one participant in particular that I'm thinking about who honestly was as bottom of the road as you could possibly get. And through yoga, through Seva, which is selfless service, through Yoga Reaches Out, because it gives them this opportunity to focus on the love of giving back. And I know for a fact that his life is completely changed because of taking care of others.
Right, making a contribution, feeling
Yes.
that. So you mentioned bumps in the road. Are there anything, I mean, it sounds like there probably are a lot of unexpected things that come up. Anything that you folks have gone through that have been unexpected challenges along the way? A lot.
Yeah. Well, I think, I like to see everything as a learning opportunity or an opportunity to think outside of the box. But I would say for me, the most significant bump in the road was in designing the program, because back when I did it, trauma was not a word that was associated much with yoga.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of resistance to designing a program that actually had the word trauma in the title. And I had to say goodbye to a lot of people who were working with me because I just knew in my heart that this program was something that needed to be developed. And so that was challenging, but really I'm glad that I stuck with my gut on that one.
Yeah. How about
Definitely.
yourself?
Yeah, so when I first had that sort of, oh my gosh, I want to create this yogathon at Gillette Stadium, and I did share it with some people that were like, gosh, Sarah, what about a local yoga studio to start?
Right.
And I was like, no, I'm
Good
going to
for
go for
you.
Gillette Stadium. So again, letting go of that fear. And and then other bumps in the road, sure, without a doubt. There's the saying, no good deed goes unpunished.
Right.
So I every once in a while I'll be like, take a deep breath and be like, okay, that's right there in my face.
Right.
But you just, again, focus on what your mission is, what your intention is, who you're helping, and you just, have to let that go.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Sue had mentioned, I had asked her about if you want to make a contribution. Now, I know you have your big event this Sunday at Gillette Stadium. So just share with viewers, I know because I watch your social media like a hawk, so I know if people still want to participate in
Yes.
Sunday's event, so just say a little bit
Sure. So registration actually closes at 5 o'clock today, but walk-ins are completely welcome,
Right.
and people have a month after the event to continue their fundraising.
Okay.
So everybody commits to $250 minimum fundraising, but
Got
they
it.
have a whole month after. Or you can come on that day, and if you would like to just contribute the $250
Great.
for the nonprofit.
And your website is
Yes,
yogareachesout.org. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, Karen.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Peaches. I love that she kind of made the sweep of the studio and came right back here.
Perfect.
That was fabulous.
Perfect.
It was great. So this has been so inspiring. I am just so full of love for you guys. This is just so great to have you here.
Thank
So
you.
thank you
Karen.
so much. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome to our Move Smarter segment, and this segment is presented to you by Seatown Studio at 314 Main Street in Charlestown. You can visit their website, charlestownyoga.com, for a schedule of yoga classes. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the health and wellness of your upper body. And in general, most of us are sitting and hunching all day, and this can result in a considerable amount of tightness in the muscles that are responsible for hunching. So when we do hunch, we're contracting muscles that roll our shoulder blades in. And if you're into anatomy, that term is called internal rotation. And so we're talking really about muscles like the pectoralis major, the pectoralis minor, and there's a muscle that's part of your rotator cuff, which sits on the inside of your shoulder blade, and that's called your subscapularis. And these three muscles get very shortened, especially when we do the same thing all the time. And at the same time, because muscles work in pairs, the longer I hunch, the muscles that are responsible for keeping me upright or going even a little bit further and drawing my shoulder blades together behind me, those get very overstretched. So to create better balance in any part of the body, but here we're talking about the shoulders, we want to try to create a little more contraction behind us and a little more extension in front of us. So even if I just stood up straight, that would be a plus compared to hunching. If I want to take it a little bit further, I could bring my hands behind my back and interlace my fingers and work a little bit harder to contract my shoulder blades closer together. If I felt a little tight, like that was a little bit hard for me to do, I could take my hands, bring them to a towel, take my hands further apart, but still work to contract my shoulder blades. So how this might look, let's say you're working at your desk during the day, you're sitting down, you're hunching over the computer. Even if you set your iPhone to remind yourself to take a couple breaks, to sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, come to the edge of the seat, find your natural posture where you're not hunching, and then maybe take it a little bit further and draw the shoulder blades in behind you. You'll start to create the contraction behind, the stretch in front, greater balance. Another thing I always tell folks when I'm teaching yoga classes is to balance the head over the body. It can be very different than what we're used to, which is hunching all the time, especially in regards to the muscles of the neck. If I wanted to take it a little bit further, a little different shape, I could take my arms up to the sky and then take like a goalpost or cactus arm shape. At the same time, draw the shoulder blades close together behind me. This is another shape as well. Even just moving the arms through what we call their range of motion from a side-to-side perspective. So this just kind of moving up and down can be helpful as well. So remember, to bring greater health to the upper body, we want to kind of create a little bit more alignment from the head down to the shoulders and a little bit of contraction behind the back to stretch the front of the shoulders as well. Thank you so much for watching our show today. I'd also like to thank our two guests, Sue Jones and Sarah Gardner. And remember, you can contribute to both of their nonprofits by visiting their websites, yogahope.org and yogareachesout.org. And you can catch this show and past episodes on my YouTube channel, Bare Bones Yoga. Between now and our next show, live well.